Is Social Security broken? In today's video, I'm breaking down Social Security to help you understand what it is, how it actually works, who benefits the most from it, and what the heck is this projected shortfall that we're hearing about? Kind of worrisome because we're paying into this and are hoping for some benefit. But don't worry, stay with me to the end of the video and I will explain everything that you need to know. I'm Thomas Cook, a certified financial planner and an enrolled agent for the IRS. I founded a wealth management firm called Retire to Teleco, where I help individuals navigate retirement tax efficiently, and Social Security is a huge part of that. So with that, let's dive in. Now, if we open up the history books, we can see that President Roosevelt signed the Social Security Act into law August 14th, 1935. So we're almost going on 90 years. What is Social Security? Well, Social Security is a system in which workers would provide for their own future economic security through taxes paid while employed. The idea was, hey, if we tax them, they live long enough, they'll get these benefits down the road. It's like a forced saving mechanism. So behaviorally, I would actually say that this is a win because there are a lot of people who don't save for retirement, and Social Security does end up being a substantial portion of their retirement income later in life. So I would say it is definitely net positive. Now, how does Social Security work? Well, the best way to help you understand how it actually works is to remind you of your first paycheck. Remember when you thought you were going to see $100 hit your bank account, and for some reason, $92.35 is what actually your bank account. You're thinking, what the heck? I told them not to withhold taxes because, well, I don't make enough money to pay taxes. Well, you can't avoid your Social Security tax and your Medicare tax. Your Social Security tax is 6.2%. Your Medicare tax is your 1.45%. And your employer is actually paying that as well, right? So in total, 15.3% is being set aside for future Americans, their retirement and their healthcare needs in their old age. As far as claiming, now, the way that it works is that you can start claiming your Social Security benefit as early as age 62. And you can delay it as late as age 70. And you would say, well, why would I delay it? Well, for a few reasons, right? Your full retirement age, if you're born after 1960, is age 67. And so the government has said, hey, if you take Social Security before your full retirement age, we're going to reduce your benefit. But if you delay it, we'll increase your benefit, right? And just to give you some parameter, the earliest you take it at 62 would be a 30% reduction in your monthly benefit. And if you delay it to age 70, it's a 24% increase in your benefit. So another reason you may want to delay it is if you're still working, like before your full retirement age, because if you draw your Social Security benefit while you're still working, they will use your earnings to calculate a lower benefit for you. So definitely recommend not starting Social Security while you're still working because they're going underneath your full retirement age because they're going to lower your Social Security benefit. But then as far as when does it actually make sense to start Social Security, you have to think about your life expectancy, right? Because each year you delay Social Security, it takes on average, 10 to 12 years for that decision to break even. Right? So another way of thinking about that, to simplify it, if you thought you were going to live past age 82, well, you're probably best delaying Social Security to age 70 if you're trying to maximize the total benefit from the government when it comes to Social Security. But if you had a diagnosis that gave you less than 10 years to live, well, you're probably better off retiring, quitting your job, living life and enjoying it while you still can, and turning on your benefits ASAP. One important thing, don't confuse age 65 with Social Security. That's more of a Medicare decision, right? Your full retirement age for Social Security is different than that age 65 when you become Medicare eligible. So now we've talked about what Social Security is, how it works. Let's talk about who benefits the most from Social Security. Now, in order to do this, I ran a study. Right? And I looked at if you were age 65 today, you've been paying into the system for the last 40 years. And I just looked at 4 different income levels. But I looked at, say, hey, what if you always maxed out that wage limit? So you always made more than that limit. And so that's the maximum amount of money that you would have paid into Social Security. And then I looked at what if you did half of that? And then I looked at the 75th and the 25th quartile. Looking at these 4 different groups, it became really clear that the low-income individuals benefited the most from Social Security. I knew that would be the case because Social Security was not meant to replace your income in retirement. It was meant to supplement your income, but the less that you make, the higher percentage of your income Social Security replaces. Or another way of saying that, the more that you make, the less of your income, from a percentage standpoint, your Social Security benefit will replace. I thought this would be an interesting angle of Okay, how much have I actually paid into the system compared to how much money do I actually get out of the system? And when we look at it from this angle, again, if you're in that lowest quartile, the 25% of the wage base, on average, you've paid, we'll just round up $1,400 a year. So over your 40-year career, we're looking at $55,000. Well, your annual benefit is $18,000. So if you do the math, only after 3 years of getting your Social Security benefit, you've gotten more money out of the system than you've put into it. And that's when I was thinking, is the system broken? I mean, like, wow, that's no wonder we have a shortfall. And that's not even all. Like, let's say that you're married. You're only paying Social Security on your income, and maybe your spouse stayed home as a homemaker. Well, they get, even though they didn't pay into the Social Security system, they're getting half of your benefit. So then it gets even better for you. So now if you include half of your spousal benefit, instead of that $18,000 that we talked about, now you're getting $27,000. And so then your break even is only 2 years. I mean, you paid into this for 40 years and in 2 years, you've got more money out of it. Yeah, something's broken there. No wonder there's a shortfall. To be fair, it's like, hey, but yeah, 40 years ago, the dollars I were putting in are much different than the dollars I'm getting out today. And yes, you're right. And so I even ran that like, okay, well, what if we adjust it for inflation? It jumps to about 5 years. So considering inflation, still though, that's pretty generous. And if you're married, even better, right? 4 years. So that would be like who benefits the most. Now, who benefits the least is the exact opposite of that. A high income earner, if they're single, they're not getting that spousal benefit. And if they're self-employed, because now they're paying both sides of the Social Security tax, the employee and the employer side, yeah, they're benefiting the least. And I'm looking at my spreadsheet here, 11 years to break even, what they've put into the system versus what they got out. And then if you adjust that for inflation, it takes 17 years. So a much longer time. That makes us think of the question, well, were you better to pay into the system, or could you opt out of it and save for retirement on your own? Would you be better? Well, the break even comes right around the 50th percentile. If you always made 50% of the Social Security wage base, Social Security is actually a screaming deal. Like, it is a forced savings mechanism, a huge behavioral win. Most people wouldn't be saving into the system or saving for retirement without that. And what you're getting out of Social Security is actually more than what you would have got using a low-cost, globally diversified portfolio over the last 40 years, and then applying the safe withdrawal 4% distribution rate. Okay. So with that, with a substantial amount of people getting more out of the system than they're putting into it, that does make us think about this projected shortfall. Now, the Social Security Board of Trustees annual report projects that the program's trust funds will run out in 2035. So if Congress doesn't take action, the program will only be able to pay 83% of scheduled benefits in 2035. So I get the question all the time, will Social Security even be there when I retire? Yes, some form of Social Security will be there. It is too systemically important to not be there. And even what they're telling us is, hey, even if the trust funds run out, we can fund about 83% of the current obligation just through current payroll taxes, right? That 6.2% that you're paying and the 6.2% that your employer is taking. They are blaming longer lives and lower birth rates for this projected shortfall. And really, they're blaming more the lower birth rate. And I was like, well, that's interesting. Let's look at it. Well, when Social Security came around, remember I said how President Roosevelt brought this into law in 1935. Well, the average life expectancy then are much different than what they are today. So when this was signed into law in 1935, you could get your Social Security age was age 65. Well, what was your average life expectancy in 1935? Well, if you were a male, your life expectancy was age 61. It was only if you were a female, your life expectancy was age 65, right? So when they built the system, they were thinking, hey, on average, most people will die about this age that we're trying to get them benefits. This seems like a good deal. And they're kind of kicking the can for the 2035 people to figure out how to make this work. Those life expectancies to the life expectancies of today. Well, today, the average male life expectancy is age 75 and the average female life expectancy is age 81. Significantly longer than what the system was originally designed around. But yet they're not really blaming that. They're really blaming total fertility rates. So back then in 1935, the total fertility rate was 3. That meant on average, if you were a woman, you would have 3 kids. Well, today, the total fertility rate is 1.8. We can round up and say 2. On average, if you're a woman, you may have 2 kids. So that is 1 less kid per woman, which means a lot less kids, millions of less kids paying into the system to help the current people drawing benefits. So that's a problem. All right, so now that we've kind of talked about some of the problems, what are possible solutions? Well, what have they done in the past? They've raised the full retirement age, right? Like I said, it used to be age 65. Well, today the full retirement age is age 67. So that's one thing that they've done, is ask people to work longer before they get to their full retirement age. What are other things that they could do? Well, tax code's written in pencil. It changes all the time. And if you think about this, they're already doing this in a sense, because like I said, I talked about that Social Security wage base of as like, what is the cap of your income that they'll tax you, that 6.2%? Well, and right now it's $160,200 for 2023, but that's increasing every year with inflation. So they are, bumping up the amount that they are taxing, that 6.2%. They could even eliminate that wage, just talking about possibilities. They could say, hey, I don't know why we've capped this. We're just going to start charging everybody 6.2% on all their income. That's a solution. Or they could just simply say, hey, 6.2% is just not enough. We're going to start taxing 10%. I don't know. Anyways, another option or a possible thing they could do is that they could pay less benefit. So like they've already projected, hey, and I know that we told you X, but we're actually going to give you 80% of X because that's what we can afford. All those things point to me that some form of the system will be around even for my retirement. It may look different, but they have some tools in their belt to kind of fix this problem or address it. Also, one other thing they could do is incentivize higher birth rates or immigration rates, like more people paying into the system. But as more people are paying into it, there's more people expecting benefits. So you kind of need to find this sustainable solution. One person out there has even suggested kind of a radical idea. Like, what if the government, instead of doing it in their current structure, what if at birth they gave everybody X amount of dollars in a retirement account and just let it grow and compound for 70 years, and whatever's in it is what they get at the end of the 70 years? Like, that could be another interesting solution. Anyways, in summary, I still think Social Security is a net positive for us, our society. That forced savings mechanism that otherwise a lot of people would not be saving for retirement, but it actually does in some aspects transfer more risk than, I talked about what if you save for retirement versus paying into this. It does have this disability program as well, so that, if you're paying into Social Security and then you got disabled and weren't able to work anymore, well, you can get disability benefits from this. So in some sense, that is better than if you had saved by yourself. You can get to that same spot privately by saving for retirement and having a disability insurance in place, and that just costs money. It's cool that they factor that in. So it definitely helps keep, like, if we think of the floor of our nation, I definitely think that Social Security keeps a lot of our nation out of poverty. So it is definitely a good thing. I ask you, is Social Security broken? Well, what do you think? Let me know in the comments below. I welcome any feedback. Again, these are my opinions based off my research and my experience. Strong opinions, loosely held, change my mind. I'm open for that. Guys, also, I wanted to leave just one invitation. I work really hard to send an email newsletter every single week. And in this email newsletter, I share some of the content I'm working on, whether it's a video, a blog, or a podcast. I share helpful market commentary and a tax tip every week. And it's free to sign up. All you have to do is go to www.retiretoteleco.com. And if you scroll down to the bottom of the homepage, you will see a place to put your email, and that's all you need to do, and I'll start sending you this weekly email. And that's a wrap.